Hello, thank you for attendance. Today we will talk about digital assistants in construction sector. I will make a presentation about it. As I understood, you generally know what is chatbot or digital assistants. It's cool, and I try to explain how we can use this technology in construction sector with some case studies. Approximately it will take 30 minutes or 35 minutes. After, if you have questions, I try to answer them. Yes, first of all, briefly, I want to introduce myself. My name is Aydın Özçekiç. I am the founder of Botmore Technology, and we are directly focused on construction technology solutions, more specifically AI. We are working on for the construction companies, contractors. We are based in UK, London, and generally we are helping, as I said, general contractors in that point of view. Now I want to start with a so general thing, which is the pain points in construction sector, which you have already know, I think. We made a poll in LinkedIn page of our company, and as you see, the most critical pain point in the construction sector, according to this poll, is poor site coordination. Maybe you know about that. Construction sector, especially in the implementation in this construction site, there are a lot of problems about the coordination, and because people spend a lot of time to coordination, and the teams are so temporary, and they couldn't manage the data easily, and data sharing is not making properly. So this is a huge problem for the construction sector, and is affecting, of course, other things like productivity, and of course about the cost management. We are taking a lot of decision in project life cycle, like the construction project life cycle, from the design to construction to operation. We have to give a lot of decision. For example, in the design phase, we have to decide which material we will use, and of course, this material is about its cost, of course, its environmental impact, carbon footprint. That kind of sustainability things are important, and of course, implementation is important. So we have to decide that kind of things from design phase to construction phase and to operation phase. And so there's a lot of data affecting the decisions, so it's not easy to take that kind of decision, and so people are generally trust their experience in that point. But as you know, it's not easy to manage all of these aspects from one point of view, so we need a coordination. Always it creates a lot of problem, and we make a lot of mistakes in this life cycle. So in that point, we focused on two things. One is where and when do you need the data? I think because there's a lot of data about the construction project, and you need this data in the right time and in the right location. For example, if it's a building project, and if you are in the, for example, cladding works, you need that information exactly the right time. Maybe in the beginning of the project, you know a lot of things about the cladding works, but after 6 months, you lost a lot of data about it because you are working in different topics during the construction progress. So I think it's so important to reach the data in real time and whenever you need, exactly, and in the right location. For example, you are in the second floor and you need data, and you have to reach that data easily. So I think this is a huge problem in the construction sector, and people generally lost some data in their daily progress, and it's causing a lot of problem about procurement, about installation, and about design. Why chatbot? I think you know generally what's the chatbot. Chatbot is generally a simple assistant. It can be text or voice control. You are asking some questions and it tries to answer automatically. I think you know it from retail sector or the e-commerce websites generally, but in that customer relations chatbots are not easy to create. But in our topic specific, subject specific area, chatbot can be more successful because we are focusing on just construction area. And why we are decided to use chatbots in that point, because it creates real-time info about the team performance, machinery, in construction site activity related photo and progress sharing already is making by WhatsApp. So chatbot can easily be integrated to you collect this data and give some meaning to it. And it can track real-time activity progress, asking some questions to you, because it's the two-side relation. Chatbot not just answer questions, it can ask some questions, it can make some announcements. So it makes a big difference for the collection of the data. And the chatbot satisfy easy access to location-related drawing. As I said before, is important because it's location-related data is so critical for the people who are working on the construction. Notifications are critical, and easy sharing is important because, especially emailing, sending links, open the link, and that kind of things is so slow, and it's not easy to do in the construction site. And always, of course, there is some document management softwares that are wonderful, but unfortunately, it's not easy to use in the construction's agile environment to that kind of things effectively. Notifications are critical because sometimes engineers are losing their path on the construction site or on the construction progress. So they need some notifications, daily basis, weekly basis. It's important to some assistance to them to understand what is going on the construction site and which activities are critical and which aren't. And another important thing is the procurement. You have to buy something in the construction site, and it is important to get that material on time. And unfortunately, sometimes this coordination can create some problems, and the material and on time we couldn't reach the material. I think it is important because it's affecting all progress of the construction. And of course, always we are talking about the coordination. I know because coordination is so critical. As I said, multidisciplinary coordination is important. Design teams, architecture, mechanics, and other teams should make a coordination. And in that coordination, it's not easy to manage that kind of things because there are a lot of different disciplines, different companies, different subcontractors. So we need a tool which automates that kind of things easily. And at the end, of course, chatbot create a learning pattern for site engineers because, especially in site engineers, from our experience, asking some kind of questions to chatbot about daily progress, their daily problems on the construction site, they create some issues. So we understood what is going on site and what are the problems of the engineers, especially on the site, or other engineers, architects on the design side. So it's important to understand that kind of things and to catch the bottlenecks to solve that kind of problems. So we tried digital assistants in that point. I think it is working well at the moment because you can use it on omni-channel. For example, if you are a company, you are using Teams, you can use chatbot in Teams, or if you have a mobile app already, you can use in that mobile app, or if you are using WhatsApp, you can use it there. So it is not a different interface for the users. They know how can use that kind of chat apps. So it is the same data flow, so there's no difference there. So it is easy to use. I think this is so important because there are a lot of mobile apps, but unfortunately people don't use them. And it creates, unfortunately, inefficient solutions for the construction teams. First case, I want to enter some cases what we are trying to do, and maybe it make clear chatbot approach in the construction sector. One is the issue management. There are a lot of issues, problems on the construction site, and every time we create an issue and we assign them to the responsible people, and we try to follow these issues, these problems to be solved because it's important for us. And And all this process, in the traditional process, you have to control. Of course, you are using some tools, but at the end you have to control them by calling the subcontractor, sending some emails, waiting some replies. There's a huge time consumption there. And we try to make, for example, chatbot to make this process more lean. I think this is important. For example, you can create your issue just talking to your chatbot, your digital assistant. Digital assistant asks some questions to you about the issue, and you answer them, and then it collects this data and it's automatically prioritize it, and then it carries it to coordination phase. I think it's important. For example, you assign this job to me, and then chatbot, digital assistant come to me with, of course, the chat app and notify me about this new issue and take my feedback about it and chasing the process. I think it's important because you understand clearly and transparently who is assigned and what is he doing. I think these questions are so important, and it is important to reach that kind of data real time. And after the finishing of the issue, you understand the result status, how solution, and you tag the issue about the different topics. And these all three things can be automatically done by the chatbot. And at the end, you have a wonderful data because you have an issue, you have a solution, which is tagged to a subject, and you know the difficulty of these issues, how it is solved, and you understand the status of this issue. So this thing is supporting, of course, other new creating issue and prioritize a point, and it is cool. It's a good cycle to create. I talk about the traditional way and digital assistant way. It is exactly so different because you have to check this by phone and email. It's too time consuming, as I said before. Just I want to give some example about it. This is one of the examples is in a Facebook Messenger. I think it is now it is creating an issue and answering some questions, and all these answers are taken and filling the form, but in the background it's now he sent a picture about the issue, he write about the expected solution. This is not so, there is a different technologies. This is so structured chatbot, as you see. Some chatbots are so structured, some are more AI-based. But in AI-based point, we are using a natural language processing technology. And in that technology, for example, you enter some data, it try to understand this data to catch different entities in your sentences. For example, you say sentences with different entities, different information, and we try to collect all different information and to fill our form at the background. So it is a bit entity extraction method. I don't want to enter to so details, but if you like, of course, we can talk later. But now this is the more structured. It asks questions and takes some answers. For example, who you can assign a person, he said, and then he said Aydın, and the issue assigned to Aydın Özçekiç, and he catched this Aydın, and he understood that this entity is related to Aydın Özçekiç, and then it notified me. So it's a good process, easy process, and it is a coordination thing, as you understand. Second case for a different approach is activity management. Yeah, is activity management is an important case. All site engineers try to understand what is going on an activity in the construction site. So there are different, of course, players in the activity management. Yeah, technical office and site control engineer. All of them are working to maintain the project plan, project schedule. So we put two chatbot in there, as you see. One is construction activity chatbot. It tries to collect data about the activities from the technical office and generate activity notifications to the site engineer, as you see there. For example, deadline is missing. and it then generates an activity notification and automatically scores the site engineer. There's a second chatbot, which is construction site chatbot. It is directly working with site control engineer, and it tries to collect information about activity, real-time results of the activity information form, and collecting this information, and then sending this information as a report to technical office. And when it approved, it enters to, for example, if you are using Primavera or MS Project, it updates Primavera and MS Project. So in that point, as you see, our two types of chatbot are playing a coordinator role or data collector role. You are seeing here the beacon site locator. We tried beacons. Maybe you know beacons, maybe you don't. Beacons are sensors which we are using on site for tagging. They are so simple sensors. Just you can use beacons to understand where the things are. Where are the locations? You can tag everything. You can think like it's a tagging tool, tagging sensor, simple sensor, just give a signal about the location. Or you can put this beacon sensors to some equipments to follow them on the construction site. So we are using the beacon to understand the location of the site control engineer, and this makes our first promise, which we are trying to say, we want to give right information on right place. So we should understand where the site engineer is. Then we are giving the right information to him and right question we are asking right questions to him. So it is important for us to create that kind of workflow. Yes, we are using generally for data collection, using chatbots. And if you think about how we are develop that kind of things, it's not a so hard thing. It's not a rocket science. Generally, we try to create a scenario. It's just one of them. This is a simple one. As you see here, there's an intention of each question. For example, user asks a question, I want to upload information for daily report. And we need, of course, some information to collect from the user. And this is some information we can collect. And chatbot tries to collect this data step by step and asking some questions. If you couldn't understand, he tried to ask questions again in different way and collects this information. And at the end, he creates this report. So this is the basic logic of the chatbot, structured chatbot usage. And if you would like to use that kind of things, you basically have to plan. You have to create a tree about it, a decision tree about it, how you can collect this data. You can make a plan about it easily. Already you know what you need. Other thing is make the data more accessible. This other thing. This is the second thing. If you can ask some questions to reach the data to the chatbot. For example, please send me today's construction report. This is the other question. And of course, there's different ways to give this data. Now, this chatbot scenario is giving this data using the email address, but if it can send automatically a link if you are using a document management tool. But it understood this question, what you need, because we train the chatbot with this type of questions, and then it finds the right answer, and it collects reach the data in the backend, and send this data to your email or the link to you. So I think it is cool because you need that kind of data so fast. Sometimes you have to see some reports, some things on your phone, and easily you can ask questions and take answers. Of course, there are some challenges here. Sometimes people ask questions differently, can't use the chatbot effectively. But as I said, this is not a customer relation chatbot, because in the customer relation, customers can ask a lot of questions in different ways. But for that kind of chatbot, just focused on the construction side or construction professionals, we have a more limited area, limited domain we can play. So we are making a better job there as a technology developer. Please don't think like that. Of course, we couldn't answer everything, but there's a training process in the background. I think it is cool because, for example, a user asks a question and you don't have an answer about it. You don't know a scenario about it, but you can train your system. And when you do that, I think it will be successful thing. Just a minute, I want to check something. Okay. Sorry. I will continue. Yes. And another example. Now, I try to give some examples to understand different usage of chatbot. Of course, chatbot is an interface, but it's a flexible interface. And one of the biggest advantages is that you can make, for example, an app to do that kind of things. But at the end, app not is so flexible. You can train the data in the background, so in real time. Of course, you can do, but not you can't do in real time. So another example is BIM data usage. You know, I think familiar with BIM, building information modeling. This is basically a data model. Of course, it's a 3D visual, but at the same time, it's a data system. So unfortunately, our sector not using this data so effectively in different ways. Yes, we are using some 4D, 5D for the time planning, scheduling, and for cost planning. Of course, we are using a bit, but we are using it different ways easily because there are a lot of data there. But of course, we have to model it. Whatever. Now, this is another example. For example, we want to make a evaluation chatbot. What is the evaluation chatbot? For example, you have a building contractor and you are doing the same job again and again, and you are using, for example, BIM. You can use or you can't, but in our scenario, you are using. And if you are using BIM, you are already models of your projects there, and you have a lot of IFC schema input there. And we are using this data, BIM data, and we are extracting related information from there. We are combining with the cost data, and we are creating a smart valuation engine. And this valuation engine is connected with a chatbot. Already we have this chatbot. I can share with you if you like. Of course, it's a demo purposes. It is using a different data source. But at the end, chatbot asking some questions about your project. And using this data, of course, using this workflow, it creates a model-based valuation to you. Of course, it is not exactly true, but it is an approximation. In that point, it tries to make optimization. For example, it make evaluation after asking is evaluation is good or bad. You make some comments about it, and then it make a learning process for it, and it tries to optimize its evaluation process. This is an example. But what the chatbot is making difference, chatbot is easy to make interaction with that kind of systems, because we know that we need a real time, for example, feedback from the user in that points to make this kind of systems better. And I think the chatbot is a wonderful way to do it, because it's like an assistant and asking questions about its job. You say that I make evaluation, what do you think about it? What is the problem? And that kind of feedback is important to make your system better automatically. I think that one of the best advantages is that. But in the background, of course, there are a lot of work about the IFC schema to understand which data is important for the evaluation, which is not, and you create a specific information data collected from BIM, and using this data, making the evaluation. Of course, BIM and chatbot relations can be done in different ways, because, you know, as I said, BIM is a database, and there is a lot of information there. And all these data are not just visual. There are a lot of data. You can just ask some questions to BIM. We call it like that. You can ask, for example, how many fire door in the second floor of the block A? This is a question can easily be answered by the BIM data. You don't need any other data source there. So you can ask that kind of questions directly to BIM, and then you can take answers using the chatbot. and search BIM data. Of course, search can be done the chatbots, but it's a tricky. Sometimes some chatbots start to be some a search engine. It's not. Why? Because it's a different experience, first of all, and secondly, it is using a different technology in the background. Chatbot's most powerful side is to understand what you are saying. They try to understand your intent. So after understanding your intent, it makes a search and try to collect the right data for you. So it's a bit different, of course, from search engines. And notify about change. As I said, it's a two-way thing. For example, in the model, there is a change affecting your design or your building process. Then these notifications can be so important. And location-based model, again, we always try to create the cross section with the location data with the other data we have, and location-based model data is so important for the users. And in that point, chatbot is so effective because, for example, you are in the second floor of the building and you are asking a question to chatbot about the model data, and it just focused on the second floor. I think it's important because there is a huge building, maybe there is a lot of floors, a lot of blocks, so it is good to focus on the right location in the right time. And we made another case, BIM 360, Autodesk BIM 360, maybe you know that BIM 360 is BIM document management tool, we can say that, I think. And we made an issue management chatbot top of it. How it is working, just I want to see. It is not so complicated. It's the first demo of BIM 360 issue management chatbot developed by us. You are creating a chatbot. Of course, this chatbot is directly focusing on, directly linked to BIM 360. Just a minute. Now, there is an, of course, sign-in process. And then chatbot reach the data of BIM 360 Autodesk, and it can make some updates there. As I said, just I want to show different type of chatbots we can use. Of course, you can do that kind of update in the issue by using app or the web interface of BIM 360. What is the main difference? Main difference is, again, is an easy interface, and you can use in different ways. Now it is in Facebook Messenger, I think, or maybe it is Telegram, but it can be everywhere. So now, for example, your site engineer using WhatsApp or Facebook Messenger already, and you can integrate with it, and it is a different interaction. You can be sure that because he didn't open maybe BIM 360 app, but he's already using that kind of chat apps. So it is creating a new and more accessible interface. Yes, this is another example. Of course, these users can also be changed, but at the end, this kind of integrations with the systems can be so effective if you, of course, have a solid plan what you will do. Yes, we will continue. Yes. Now another issue, of course, in the construction management or first phase of the construction is tender process and chatbot relations. This is interesting because there's a procurement so important in the construction sector, procurement and subcontractor selection or contractor selection. And my background, I'm civil engineer. I worked in my first 5 year in a construction company, and I worked on the tender preparation and business development side. So I know this process is so chaotic. So chatbot can be a wise solution here too, because, for example, subcontractors can ask questions about the tender. They always do that, and these questions generally are so repetitive. They are same type questions in each tender, and they need a fast reply because they wait your reply to questions, and always they need the consistency because You need to give same type replies to the everybody because it should be equal to for every subcontractor. And you need to make some announcements. You can do all of them using a chatbot. Think about that. You have a chatbot. This chatbot is working on, for example, your portal, website, whatever, or maybe in a mobile app. And you say that, okay, you are entering this tender and you can use our chatbot. You can ask questions to our chatbot. And automatically, of course, there will be a training process before you have to work on some questions, some scenarios. But at the end, it is not so difficult thing because you know what can be asked generally. And of course, there is a technical questions, and it's a good one of the good advantages is that we work on it again. It's important. For example, your technical specifications. And when you ask some question about the technical specification, now the technology gives a chance to us to find the right places to answer this question. So it is like to summarize the documents. And we are doing this at the moment. So it is a good technology because, for example, I ask a question about concrete pouring, and you can send me 100-page concrete pouring document. Okay, specification is perfect, but maybe I can ask more specific question to you and directly can find right page or paragraph about this question, and it makes everything more smooth. And this can be done again. And this chatbot answers, of course, a lot of questions, make announcements. Of course, it will give you same kind of answers to everybody. And of course, some point it can't answer some questions, but in that kind of questions, as a tender team, you can work. You can work on them and you can give your replies as a live answers. Why not? But as a chatbot as a frontier can solve a lot of problem of the repetitive questions, consistency. I think it can be used in the tender process. Of course, I look now a contractor or owner perspective, but at the end, from the subcontractor perspective, it is cool to have that kind of solution because he can easily ask questions to automatic system whenever he wants. Yes. Summary. I want to give a summary about. I think you understood generally what I am talking about, but I want to summarize it. First thing is chatbot is an omnichannel interface. I think one of the important things is that. Secondly, is it's easy to use. If you can use a WhatsApp Messenger or Messenger WhatsApp, you can use our chatbot too. It's not a big problem. But most important thing, people are using that kind of tools and creating a lot of data. For example, in our project in Luxembourg, we work with a partner there, and we create a solution for a customer. And it is so basic thing, just asking some questions to site engineers and collecting some data from them, and creating a report. But at the end, it is interesting that people are giving answer to a digital assistant, a chatbot, because it is asking questions directly to you, and it's changing all relation between the systems, solutions, and the user. Because it's normally a user should come and enter the data to system, and it's generally as a boring thing. But the other thing is chatbot is asking you question: what did you do today? Which activities are finished? That kind of questions are changing all perspective of the users. So it's important. And other thing is make data accessible. Sometimes people don't look the specifications and they try to remember the standards, and sometimes it can be wrong because it's not easy to remember every standards, every details. So I think that making data accessible is so important to prevent the problems on the site which cause big problems, which about the time, which about the cost. So I think it is another important advantage of create a chatbot. Now, chatbot is not a huge technology. Every company can use it. In other words, because it is not a rocket science as that, and now it is easy to reach that kind of technology. It is like 10 years ago or 5 years ago. Now, each SME, small business, or architect, contractors, owners, consultants can have a chatbot. about their company and about their relation with other companies. They can use that kind of things for the repetitive things. For example, you are an architect and you have a relation with your customers about a project. You can create that kind of chatbot for if this project is big enough. You can create a chatbot for that project, and it can reply important things easily. So maybe you can add different things step by step. This chatbot in a continuous improvement of the chatbot, and you can create an interesting solution for you. So other important thing, for example, human resource departments can use chatbots effectively. It's not just related to construction sector, I know, but it is important because human resource departments are working on same type problems. So chatbots are well positioned in human resource departments to answer these repetitive questions and make their life easier. So you can think that kind of solutions in different places. If there is a repetitive thing, if you need to collect data easily, if you have to reply same type of questions, don't think big first of all. You can think simple. You can create simple bots, and you can then try it in everywhere, and you can expand the project, of course. If you like to try, of course, we can help you because we are a technology company, and we believe that the bespoke chatbots can create a lot of differences, and it is easy to develop. You can start to use in 2 weeks. Of course, it's changed depends on the project, but generally in 2 weeks you can create a chatbot and you can start to try it. And the most important thing maybe for the chatbots is continuous development. You don't need any developer for the continuous development because, for example, you create a chatbot, and this chatbot have taking some questions from the people, and these questions, some are answered, some not. And if these unanswered questions can be trained, you can train it by using interface. Just give some answers to him. You can link these questions to other questions. So system automatically learn new things and make its job better and better. So it is, I think, one of the best thing for that kind of technologies. Yes, thank you. If you like, you can send me mail to ask some questions or for more detail. You can visit our website, and please follow us in LinkedIn. Now, I want to look if you have questions. I try to answer them if I can. Just, I want to check it. Do you have any question? If you have, you can ask from the QA side. Okay, if you don't, you can send an email to me whenever you want. As I said, thank you very much for your time. See you.